Welcome to today's talk session. My name is Deidre Moss, and I am the host of Can We Talk? I am an educator, motivator, and a talk connoisseur. Today, we continue our series on Can We Talk Politics? Today, Can We Talk welcomes candidates from the Bahamas Constitution Party, BCP, for short, namely Mr. Cornelius McKinney, Mr. Leonard Ross, Pastor Glenroy Bethel, and Mr. Brian McCarty. I think Mr. Ross dropped out, but I guess he'll be back in. So at this time, I want to pass the virtual mic to my guests and have them introduce themselves. So we'll start from in order that I'm seeing Mr. McCarty, so you can introduce yourself first, and then we'll go to Mr. Bethel and Mr. McKinney. Thank you.
All right. Well, my name is, like you said, Brian McCarty. Was born in Deadman's Key, Long Island. The proud parents of Richard and Thelma McCarty, the third son of 9 children. I've been married for 31 years to Caroline McCarty. We have 8 children, 1 son-in-law, 1 daughter-in-law. I'm also proud, very much proud, to be a citizen of heaven. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Pastor Glenroy Bethel. I'm delighted to be on this program this afternoon. I am the Assistant Deputy Leader of the Bahamas Constitution Party. I live in Freeport, Grand Bahama, where my constituency is, Central Grand Bahama. And again, Ms. Morse, we thank you for having us here this afternoon.
My name is Cornelius McKinney. I'm the deputy leader of the Bahamas Constitution Party. I was born in New Providence, grew up in Grand Bahama, currently living in Bering Point, Andros. My ministry is Ministry of Finance and Economic Development. I'm looking forward to share the opportunities that will become available to all Bahamians under a BCP government.
Thank you. Thank you so much for those introductions. Thank you so much. And so can we talk politics?
Oh, yes.
Yes, we certainly can.
Great. So let's just get into it. Let's look at your background, and each of you can talk about your background briefly. Tell us about yourself, which constituency you're vying for or you're looking at representing, and why have you presented yourself as a candidate?
Brian, you want to start off?
Anyone? Okay. Well, I'm running in the Marathon constituency. That's my area. And why am I a candidate? But one reason why I became a candidate is to better the way forward for all Bahamians, especially the next generation that's behind us. That's it.
Pastor Glenroy.
Okay, all right. Yeah, okay. My my background is I'm a pastor, been pastoring for about 15 years in Freeport, Grand Bahama. I'm also the president of Families for Justice organization in Freeport, Grand Bahama for the same length of time. I've been head of that organization for between 12, 13, thereabout years. Our organization has always been involved with the community. We cater to a whole lot of persons who is in need, and we deal with a variety of help for persons that needs it, like such as we base it more like in the courtrooms, and I assist people that get themselves into problems, whether it's from the criminal side or whether it's from the civil side. I'm also trained paralegal, and so my background for our community, we have persons in Nassau, in Grand Bahama, some on the Family Islands that supports our organization. And so I've always been an advocate for the small man in our community. The constituency that I choose to, as the Lord allowed me to run for, is Central Grand Bahama. And I believe that I can do a whole lot for our community. I've been living in Freeport some 50 plus years. And again, in our community, we have seen the hardship. We've been involved with the hardship. We know the struggles and everything our people has been facing in Grand Bahama on the whole. I believe that this is the perfect time for me to present myself as a candidate for our community, for Central Grand Bahama. And I'm well known in the community. I'm well known in Grand Bahama. And I believe that this is the season for the change that we are looking for. I chose the BCP because of two main reasons. One, the rule of law that they support, the organization, and the Constitution of the Bahamas. I'm a firm believer in the Constitution of the Bahamas, and I believe that every Bahamian should know their constitutional rights. And so I had been offered to run in the last general election, I didn't do it at that particular time, but I didn't think I was ready at that time to really take office. And so the time now is right with the BCP. I was going to run as an independent candidate in this general election until I came over, or till I met with the Bahamas Constitution Party. And we shared the same values. And because we did share the same values, I thought it was the right thing to do. This was the right time. And here I am as a candidate for the next general election. And so again, we believe that, or I believe that we can make some changes for Grand Bahama. We have always been used to the PLP and the FNM and the PLP. And in fact, it goes way back to from Finland them days, and then FNM and the PLP and the FNM all the way up to 2021. And this is where we are. But I believe that the people of the Bahamas and our community is ready for the change. And I believe that I have what it takes, as God allow me to contribute to our constituencies.
Cornelius McKinney again. I have a degree in banking, and my background is in banking, having done 22 years in banking. And then I am currently in film production with 17 years experience. I chose the BCP because I met with the leader. I had no interest in politics at the time. That was 7 years ago. I met with the leader, introduced by a friend, was helping him produce a segment for her interview. And while he was setting up the cameras and lights and everything, I said, why don't I just give you a test run? Let me ask you some questions. And I put the questions to her that was which I felt were the most compelling. And she answered them right in sync with a vision that God had shown me. And I'm like, there's no way this woman can have the same answers to the vision that God has shown me. And other than God having shown her the same vision. And that was the connection right there. At the time, I was in Freeport. Since then, I got married and moved to Central Andros. And so my focus is now on developing South Andros, Mangrove Key, and Central Andros, and that constituency. The name of the constituency is South Andros and Mangrove Key. Central Andros is not mentioned in the constituency name, but it is the largest portion of that constituency, having the most amount of voters, but somehow the name is not even part of the constituency. But that is the constituency that I represent. And what I am focused on is the natural resources that are in that constituency, starting with the natural gas that is in Andros. Generally, wherever you find oil is natural gas. It's estimated that we're looking at least $4 trillion worth of natural gas throughout the Bahamas. There is a mud that is in the north side of Andros. It is definitely in the billions of metric tons. It can be used to make paint, sheetrock, joint compound, toothpaste, deodorant, and facial powders for women. And it is billions of tons of it, no doubt worth hundreds of billions of dollars. And it's just sitting there untouched, but it can be used to create an industry and can easily create possibly as much as 1,200 jobs in Andros. And then there are all the berries that can be used to make various jams and jellies. There's the pilchard, which can be canned for sardine. There is tuna, which can be canned, and there's just so many natural resources. Andros alone has enough natural resources to supply the entire Bahamas. And so it is a shame that that island has been neglected for so long. The people have been so downtrodden that they're at the point where a lot of them are afraid of their prime minister, afraid of their government, afraid to speak out even when they see injustice. And if they're afraid to speak, I am not. And so I am going to speak on their behalf. And I'm going to speak about what is wrong in Andros, the injustice that they've suffered for more than 40 years, and the way forward, and what the BCP can do to change the whole atmosphere of not just Andros, but the entire nation, and bring prosperity to Androsian as well as the entire Bahamas. So that is what I am interested in. I absolutely want nothing in return. I just want to see the people receive what is rightfully theirs.
Thank you, all of you for sharing. Mr. Ross, I know you would have dropped. So the question was asked to briefly tell us about yourself. Which constituency are you vying for, and why have you presented yourself as a candidate?
Okay, I'm Leonard Ross Jr. from the great constituency of Mount Moriah. I worked, the main part of my working career was at Bethel for 21 years, from 1978 to 1999. My background is in accounts and management. I have a degree in accounts from St. Leo University in Florida. I joined the BCP because I would like to see genuine change in the Bahamas, real change. Brother Cornelius has alluded to some of it with reference to our natural resources. But I feel similar to Brother Cornelius that it's been what I characterize as the same old for about the last 40 years. No difference between the two parties that are in power and the opposition. No real difference. The cost of living, quite frankly, is astronomical. And I would like to see the cost of living come down. On Moriah would be considered a nice middle class area, but I feel like there's always room for improvement. For example, after we get in, I would like to table a bill on the floor of the House of Assembly to revise the building code so that all households in Mount Moriah, and it could be for the rest of the households in the Bahamas, to receive solar energy, right? And that would bring the cost of electricity down. A very simple one is for all households to get LED lighting. Speaking for my household, It has reduced the cost of electricity by anywhere from $50 to $75 a month. And that's just by changing the light bulb. That's just the LED light bulb. However, there's even greater room for improvement with solar power. Even if all you do is install a solar water heater, right, and don't have to use the conventional electrical or gas heater, that could save at least another $100 a month. And the list goes on. We don't know, I don't think we in the Bahamas, we as Bahamians don't realize what we have. To coin a phrase or to coin a term, the elites are aware of what we have in terms of natural resources. And I don't know if I should apologize for this lament, but I always lament that my generation was lied to about our natural resources. We were told when we were in high school, my generation, that the Bahamas has no natural resources. And that's why we had to rely on tourism and direct foreign investment. We're told that continuously in high school back in the 70s. Nothing could be further from the truth. All the Bahamas has is natural resources. Sand, aragonite, and if we have the amount of natural gas that Brother Cornelius referred to, that we probably have one of the largest reserves of natural gas in the world. Okay, aragonite is priceless, worth literally trillions of dollars. Same thing with sand, same thing with the mud and Andres, same thing with our limestone, which is taken from us without us benefiting. I'm a strong proponent of reducing the cost of living. And this is not only with energy, in other words, our electrical bills, but also in terms of food security. Our food import bill, my understanding, our food import bill is 1.5 billion with a B, $1 billion per year. Imagine if we just cut that in half, which I know we can do. I know we can do that. Just imagine. And let me just say that it doesn't have to put anybody at a disadvantage. Speaking particularly to the merchants, okay, it doesn't have to put the merchants at a disadvantage. I feel like we can work with the merchants, all right, and still cut down on our food import bill, okay? The Bahamas can grow anything. Just about, I saw a post where Brother Cornelius said apples are growing in.
Okay, he cut out for a second. Mr. Ross, I'm gonna let you come back in, but we're gonna let me just address some of your responses. Firstly, Mr. Pastor Bethel, you talked about your passion for the people of Freeport.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Hi, Mr. Ross, you cut out. We're gonna let you cut back in. We just want to get to the
Yes,
other question. Go
Okay,
ahead. Yeah.
Just tell me that internet connect. Anyway, I was saying that I'm a strong proponent of reducing the cost of living, and that I don't know if you all heard when I said that our food import bill is annually $1.5 billion. And imagine if we could just cut that in half. I mean, just think about these phrases. The Bahamas imports.
Okay, we're gonna move on. We'll come back to him because I think he's cutting out. So I want to talk about Miss Pastor Bethel. Sorry, you talk about your passion for the people of Freeport, and that is something that kind of ignited you running. Do you think that influenced you putting your hat in?
Yeah, definitely. And knowing the condition of Grand Bahama, you know, it's a saying that he who feels it knows it, right? And knowing how high our unemployment rate is in Grand Bahama is very high. We are somewhere anywhere between 60–75% of unemployment in Grand Bahama. Some might disagree, but again, that is a fair estimate of where we are. In Grand Bahama, we have to be clear, and most of the Bahamas doesn't know, I believe, that Freeport itself is governed or controlled, I should say, by the Grand Bahama Port Authority. And so in this particular election, it is my duty as a resident of Grand Bahama to step into the political arena and say to the Bahamian people, the electorate, where we are as a people in Grand Bahama, because a lot of the Grand Bahamians feels that they are left out, you know, they believe that they left out. And so we're seeking to change that. When it comes to the unemployment rate and the amount of foreigners that are in Grand Bahama, dealing with a lot of the industrial plants where they work, a lot of Bahamians, again, has no jobs. In fact, just a few days ago, they just recently laid off some more Bahamians, again, from one of the industrial plants there. But so the unemployment rate is something that I believe that I can help contribute to by creating jobs, understanding the kind of agreements that the Grand Bahama Port Authority has with our government. And what I'm talking about, all of this legal binding agreements is in our laws. And so, again, if elected to power, I believe that as a legislator, we can put in laws to really regulate the Grand Bahama Port Authority and Freeport Grand Bahama. And so in that agreement, and I just want to say this for the record, that they have leased some 55,000 acres of land, okay? That is totally, not Crown land. It used to be Crown land, but 55,000 acres of land that is controlled by the Grand Bahama Port Authority. And that is very important. And in those agreements, it stated that they had or has the responsibility to create employment for Grand Bahama, to stimulate the economy. And the government had given them millions and millions of dollars, concessions that there is of the people's tax money. And so all of that is what we would like to bring to light. I
want to thank you for sharing that. That definitely sounds like something that we need to revisit. So I want to look at the comments. I want to look at the comments in the live. I'm looking at the comments. So James, he is viewing, he's listening in, and I guess this I think two of you said that your background would have been in accounts. I think Mr. McKinney, your accounts, Mr. Ross, your accounts. I'm not sure about you, Mr. Bethel. But James, he's viewing, he's asking about your view on campaign finance reform. I don't know if anyone want to tackle that question.
Mr. Deputy?
Well,
Okay, yes. We believe that there should be transparency as far as it relates to campaign funding. We should have full disclosure of every contribution. The parties have that information. It should be made available to the public. So I don't believe in setting any amount over a certain amount, because you can have people break it down into smaller amounts just below that, and one particular individual can put in 1,000 different contributions to be below that amount under the radar. So list everything. We want to know who is contributing to a political party. If it is an organization, we want to know all the members of that organization so we can see who is really giving funds to that political party, because we don't want a position where you have a party owing some individual or organization some kind of favor. So we believe in full transparency and accountability. The Bahamian people should know exactly where the funds are coming from for every political party. And we're not just campaign finance, but in every aspect of government. That information should be public and available online.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for that response. And so I just want to highlight your responses to the first question, and then we'll go into the second one. Pastor Bethel, I want to thank you also for sharing what you would have said and how you spoke about the agreement that was made in Freeport, and that is definitely something that we need to revisit. And so you also talked about natural resources. Most of you spoke about natural resources. Mr. Ross, you talk about solar energy, and your talk on natural resources coincides with World Environment Day, which is on Saturday, and the theme is preserving our ecosystem, restoring, sorry, our ecosystems. And so this is definitely an important talk. As you would have mentioned, we were taught we didn't have natural resources, but we're seeing now and we're learning, and this is where education come in and awareness comes in, that we do have natural resources. And we are talking about a country that is sun, sand, and sea. Why can't we harness the power of solar energy to work in our benefit? And so these are definitely things that we need to revisit. And so I want to go to our next question. The party, BCP. Oh, and I also want to mention Ms. Pratt, Dion Pratt is listening in as well, and she is cheering you guys on. So I just wanted to let you know. Okay, so we talk about party. What does the Bahamas Constitution Party mean to you? We'll start with Brian, we'll go to Pastor Bethel, Mr. McKinney, and we'll end with Mr. Ross.
Well, the Bahamas Constitution Party. We have in our party men and women that represent God, and also our party is built on godly principles and law and order. In this country, we need to put back in our country law and order. You know, we sort of strain away from that, you know, little at a time, but we gotta put that in the forefront. We gotta build that and make that strong, you know. We cannot just keep going away, and that's the trend that I'm seeing. Getting away from law, and we really need actually to forward that and get that back onto where it should be.
When you say law and order, what are you referring to?
And you look at our policing, right? When you okay, take for instance, in the past couple months, okay, where the those guys that were selling coconuts and stuff, and also I just learned, I think that was in Andres, I think it was South Central Andres,
That's correct, but it
where,
was
yeah, where the lady and her son were out there catching crabs to feed themselves. That's their money making business, and they got fined $500. That's a disgrace, man.
and they made them put the crowd back.
And they had them to throw the crabs back in the bush. See, that's what I'm talking about, law and order, putting these things back in place for our Bahamian people. That's what we live on. That's what Androsians live on.
James is asking, when you talk about law and order, is that to say that your position on your party is the proposal of capital punishment?
Capital punishment, yeah, capital punishment, that have to be put, it's on the books. You know, that's on the books. And we also gotta make that mandatory, because if we do that, I think it will be less crimes and stuff going on. Look at all the killings in the past. You know, even couple months. Look at the 5 that young men. Was it no 6 brutalized? Lives are gone. And not only that, it is dozens of them, right? What came out of it? Nothing. Not that I've heard. See, that's what we need to go back at. Putting those things and making that stronger, so it could bring back fear in the lives of those young men that try to or want to go out there and do foolishness, like taking lives. Okay, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Ms. Moss,
And
you finished, Brian? Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ms. Moss, I believe, for me, on the whole, and I think we speak the same language as a party. And I stated it earlier that our country is governed by the rule of law and the Constitution. The rule of law states that no one is above the law and everyone is subject to the law. When you have public servants breaking the law and the people of the nation see that, how can you enforce the law when you are a lawbreaker? Okay, when I'll give you a quick example. The NIB recently, I don't know if you did hear about it, but many of us would have heard that they had a ring going on where employees were selling NIB cards to foreigners. Okay, and this was on the Eyewitness News, and the minister had the heart to speak to the media and say to the media that it was a ring, but one employee out of that ring was fired, not arrested, fired. Okay. The police later came on and stated that they didn't have any reports about it. And they still, you know, if there's any report, they're still waiting. I guess they probably will come forth and make an official complaint. Now we're talking about the rule of law. We're talking about law and order here. And so whilst the emergency orders them are in place, you have Bahamians getting locked up for all kinds of things because they breached the emergency orders. But recently, a few days ago, we have an employee just got fired. And this the people money. Them NIB cards is the people, not the politicians them. And so when a minister could just fire you and no lawful action be brought against those persons who committed such a crime, and just get a slap on the wrist. We've been seeing it in all kinds of departments, Ms. Morris. And so for me, the BCP respects the rule of law, and good governance is what we believe that we can execute the rule of law and the Constitution and follow what governs us as a country. Listen, every party that comes in power, in governance, is subject to the rule of law and the Constitution. So when I saw this party and I understand what they were all about, and I saw the leadership, and by the way, our party is led by Sherelle Ali McIntosh, and she is a woman. But she's a strong woman. And she is a woman who has been with this party for some 20 plus years, and she's been in the trenches. And so this time around, it's all in the hands of God. And as we position ourselves to offer ourselves to the Bahamian public for office, I believe that there's going to be a great change, an unprecedented change in this general election. So our party, Bahamas Constitution Party, I am proud to be an executive. I'm proud to be also a candidate running on the ticket for the Bahamas Constitution Party because of what they stand for, and that's what I stand for as well: righteousness, truth, and justice for all.
Amen.
Hi, Mr. Ross, you could share, what does this party mean to you?
Okay, I joined the Bahamas Constitution Party just under a year ago. And this party means to me vision, integrity, transparency. And I know a number of the people sort of up close and personal. I've met many of them in person, not just on Zoom meetings. I've gotten to know them in that regard also. Also, too, what is really at the top of the list is that this party recognizes the supremacy of God. That is in the preamble of the party constitution, what the party believes, and that's very important. Okay, put God first. This party is not a party of secrets. Okay, I think it was JFK to say, well, you have institutions that are secret, then that is to the detriment of the country. I think it was I may not be quoting JFK quite accurately, but it's something to that effect. This is a party of openness and transparency. You can always go to bcpparty.org and get in a lot more detail than I have time to describe here what the party is all about. Another reason I like the party is that the party is for the natural resources of the Bahamas being for the benefit of all Bahamian people, not just a few Bahamian people. The natural resources should benefit all Bahamian people. That's very important. Okay, and that's what this party stands for. I know servant leader, I've gotten to know servant leader and the other executives rather well. And these are good people. These are good people. We've been on the ground together. We've been in face-to-face meetings together. We've marched together. We've done walkabouts together. And through all these activities, I have gotten to know the Bahamas Constitution Party and its members. Okay, this is a wonderful organization to be a part of. And we are ready to govern from day one. We have our plan, especially, I hope Cornelius don't mind me calling his name so much, but especially the economic plan. We have an amazing...
I want to thank you for sharing that. We're definitely going to get
sure.
into that. So I want to thank you for sharing your purpose, the purpose behind why you would have joined the party. And you also talk about your leader as well. She chaired you on, Miss Sherelle Ali McIntosh. She was in the comments. She's sharing you on today. So I also want to make mention of that. So you talk about plans, Mr. Ross. I think Mr. Nick McKinney dropped. When he comes back in, he can share why what the party means to him.
Sorry, I am back on, but I can only do audio because I'm traveling and my phone's not fully charged, so I can just do audio at the moment.
Okay, sure. So you could share what the party means to you.
Yes, thank you. What the party means to me is It is a group of individuals that believe in righteous government, that we ought to do things right. That is contrasted to what we have seen in the past. I can tell you right now, I am in a hotel in Mangrove Key in Andros. The reason I'm in a hotel is North Andros and Central Andros, where I live, is on a lockdown because of COVID. And we heard the Prime Minister announce that there will be no flights in, no movement in or out of Central and North Andros. So I cannot go home until the 8th of this month. But the regular commercial flight that goes from Nassau to Central Andros is taking tourists from Nassau to Andros daily. I went to the airport yesterday to book on that flight, and they told me that I could not go on the flight unless I was on the list, unless I was a guest at a lodge in Central Andros, and then I could get my name on the list, and then I would be able to go home. Other than that, I cannot go home. I cannot go to my own home, but yet tourists can go to my home, and it supposedly is because of COVID. I have a negative COVID test, and I cannot go home, and any tourist that books in a lodge, they can go there. And that's under a country that operates by the rule of law. And so the reason why I support the BCP is that there's no way on this earth that anything like that would ever happen under a BCP government.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. So let's talk about your plans and your platform. Can you briefly share your plans for your constituency? What area of improvement you think should be made in your area, and how will you be able to change that? So I want you to briefly share and give everyone an opportunity to plug their information in. Thank you so much.
We starting with someone in particular?
Okay,
Well, Mr. McCarty, you can go first. We'll take the same order. Mr.
Okay.
McCarty,
Yeah.
Hardy, sorry, Pastor Bethel, and then Mr. Ross and Mr. McKinney. Thank you.
okay. Well, I have a few plans I would like to implement in my constituency, but I would choose to speak on the water situation. That's a touching issue right there with this water in Marathon. Actually, that came about after that situation with the gas station, the water oil spill, and that's really like I say, touchy. I would like to but actually that situation I have that has not been dealt with as yet. That issue is, the oil, like I said, the oil contamination in the water table in Marathon. I plan to address that issue because it is not beneficial for my constituents to remain in such a state that they're in. I said this before. I spoke with a couple in Marathon, and they said they still have that issue with water contamination with the oil, just spots of oil in the water. And I said to him, I said, that's not good. It's not healthy for my Bahamians, my constituents, to be living under. They cannot bathe in the water. They have to boil the water, but boiling the water will not make a difference, because as long as that water have that oil in it, it will still get on your body, and cause different illnesses, cancer,
So that is your focus. That's your area.
different diseases, and I feel when my people are going through different situations, I feel it, and what my when going about doing that and trying to fix that is to give them good, clean running water, For the life of me, I can't see how come that wasn't done already. All it is going to the main water pipe line and running pipes through the constituency and branching off in these different homes. You know, give them water. That's life. Water is life. If you don't have water, you know, you will die. You
I
know,
want to thank you. I want to thank you for sharing that. I think I'm getting feedback because of different mics on, but we'll go. I want to go to Mr. McKinney because I know he said he had an issue with his battery life. So, Mr. McKinney, you can take the floor. What are your plans for your area, and how, if you see an area of improvement, how are you going to fix it?
Okay, first of all, there is South Andros, there's Mangrove Key, and there's Central Andros, 3 different landmass. I would start out in Mangrove Key, where I am at the moment, by having a port of entry. Mangrove Key does not have a port of entry. So all international flights coming into Mangrove Key either stop in Nassau or South Andros. Same thing with boats coming in. So I would put customs and immigration officers in place at the airport and then at the harbor, so that like persons who are coming to Bonefish Lodge, they don't have to stop in Nassau or South Andros before they come here. That adds an extra cost and it makes it more difficult for them to attract tourists. South Andros, we want to multiply the capacities of the farmers. We want to provide funding for the farmers so that they can get machinery. We can give them more land and a lot of technical expertise. And we want to manufacture food and food byproducts. For example, when we grow tomatoes, we'll make tomato paste and ketchup and spaghetti sauce and barbecue sauce. With corn, we'll make corn flakes and corn flour and grits. So those are some of the things that we want to do, not just grow fruits and vegetables, but also process them. We want to take a lot of those old vehicles, the aluminum, old fridge, old stove, recycle them and make cans so that we can can these various food products, can tuna, can sardines. So those are some of the things we want to do in South. In Central Andros, we have the mud, which can make sheetrock, joint compound, facial powder, toothpaste, deodorant. So we want to manufacture that and create easily 1,200 jobs in Central. And that's in terms of the employment. And we want to provide the funding for businesses, because I've seen a lot of focus on creating jobs, but you cannot have a job unless somebody starts a business. So our focus is on creating businesses, and the businesses will create the jobs. And then in terms of the young persons, we want to totally redo the curriculum. And I cannot say all of it here because of time, but I'd invite you to go to our website, which is bcpparty.org, and you can look at the educational plans for the nation. Every area that you can think of is covered in that plan. And so those are some of the areas, and we want full employment in Andros, in my constituency, and we also have a plan of full employment for the entire nation.
Thank you, Mr. McKinney. Pastor Bethel, sorry.
No problem. Yes, Ms. Moss, my constituency, Central Grand Bahama, is in desperate need, like the entire whole island. But my constituency, I can say, is in desperate need of employment. Okay, and for us to sit back and we have mortgages to pay. Okay, we have bills to pay, and there is no job, right? And I'm not talking about part-time jobs, because we still also have an issue where people's homes are being taken by the banks in Grand Bahama because we don't have employment. And so at the end of the day, for us to sit there, and my people to sit there and watch foreigners come in, right? And get the jobs that they could have had, it's a major problem. So what I seek to do is, based on my constituency, we need to revoke some work permits in order for our Bahamian people to go to work. And these things can be done ASAP. The other issue is our airport, okay? is in shambles. Right now, we are living like we desolate. I mean, we just you know, defenseless. And so some things has to happen. This is a important matter, especially for our people, our constituency, and like I say, for the wider community. Our hospital, the third thing, our hospital, again, we don't really have a proper hospital. And so at the end of the day, we haven't had one for years. And so we've watched both governments come in, right, parade around, promise the people in Grand Bahama all sorts of things, and especially my constituency. My constituency is some 6,500 persons in that constituency. But if you go to their doors, you'll find somebody's son, somebody's daughter is there, no employment. And so what we seek to do is make some serious demands, especially knowing the agreement that we have in Grand Bahama. We should not be allowing the foreigners to come in and take the jobs and sending the message out that there's nobody there to do the work, where we have a high unemployment rate in Grand Bahama. So between the airport that needs to be fixed, that service our people, the hospital, there's some things that really needs to be done, and we're tired of the promises that's being made by governments upon governments coming in and abusing our people like that.
Thank you. Lastly, Mr. Ross.
Okay, that is what are the plans for Mount Moriah? Okay, I mentioned the revision proposal to revise the building code so that all households can get solar energy. And that would in turn reduce the electricity bill. The other thing, well, as I mentioned also too, Mount Moriah is a middle-class neighborhood. It comprises mostly Stapleton Gardens in the western part of New Providence. The other thing that I'd like to propose, and this can happen for all of the Bahamas, is another revision to the building code so that households and other buildings are more hurricane resistant. We're in the hurricane belt, and we do get hurricanes from time to time. So, for example, if the Bahamas Constitution Party government can subsidize the installation of storm shutters for all households and some institutions, I think that would go a long way in protecting houses when hurricanes pass through. There's room for improvement with the roads. We do have some roads that need some repairs. They have potholes, etc. And there's also room for improvement when it comes to the security of the area. From time to time, there are break-ins, especially in these middle-class areas. And so if we could get increased patrols on houses that need an upgrade in security, if they can get that, and the Bahamas Constitution Party government can aid by subsidizing the upgrade in security, I think that will go a long way in helping the Mount Moriah constituents. Also, too, one more, just getting back to the solar energy. As the representative from Mount Moriah, I would also propose a bill for an act to provide incentives for the materials that have to be brought in. That is a reduction in the import duty or elimination of import duty for materials that have to be brought in for all of these changes, especially the where changes are needed to reduce the cost of living and improve security. Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank you for sharing all of your plans today. Unfortunately, time does limit us, but I would love to welcome you back as we continue these discussions on the political system as we gear up for our political season. I would like to thank you for your time in joining us today, Mr. McKinney, Pastor Glenroy Bethel, Mr. Brian McCarty, Mr. Leonard Ross. Miss Ali McIntosh, sorry, she will be joining us sometime later. This is the leader of the party, but I want to thank you for joining us today. There were so many questions, and unfortunately we cannot get them all today, but I want to thank Miss Pratt and Mr. James for joining us and viewing and sending their questions in. And so I would like to thank you. Are there any final thoughts before we close?
Want to be free, vote BCP.
Want to be free, vote BCP. Okay.
Amen. Yes, yes.
Financial freedom for all Bahamians.
I'd like Pastor Glenroy to wrap it up for the party, please.
Well, I'll say this much. As we get ready to go into this general election, I would like for the people of the Bahamas to pay special attention to the candidates that they elect in this general election. This is an important one. And as we all offer ourselves, I say to the Bahamian people, choose men and women of integrity, transparency, and who will be accountable to the Bahamian people. That is a mandate from God that in this general election, the Bahamas lacks that, but I can tell you this much. The BCP is prepared to offer the Bahamian people righteous governance, which this Bahamas definitely needs.
Amen.
Thank you so much, and I welcome you back again whenever you can be a part of this platform. So I want to thank our viewers for listening to our talk. I would like to thank all of our guests today from the Bahamas Constitution Party. I would like to thank our viewers again for listening in, like our page for future notifications. Can you share your page with us? It's the Bahamas Constitution Party.
It is
Bahamas Constitution Party.
BCP, it is bcpparty.org.
ORG.
Thank you. So like our page for future notifications of upcoming discussions, comment under our videos. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Let us know how do you feel about our talk today. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Can We Talk? Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and we're also on TikTok as well. Thank you and good evening. Thank you, gentlemen, for this talk today.
Blessings to you, Ms. Moss.
Thank you.
Moss.
Bye.
Continue the good work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank
you.
Doing a great job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.